I have an FBI document here, all right? And it talks about the BLA and them being released from prison. That the BLA was involved in activities which involved the use of force or violence, substantially impairing the functioning of both the local and state government and U.S. government and branches that influence the U.S. government, right? BLA has not claimed credit for any illegal activities in the United States for almost 2 years, period. This is 1977, right? The major leaders of the group have been incarcerated for a wide area of crime, and it appears that without their leadership, the BLA is no longer a viable group. Recently, some prominent BLA members have been released from prison, but all indications lead to the conclusion that they are not returning to the former lifestyle of crime and or guerrilla warfare. Contact the New York City Police Department representatives has failed to determine any information regarding the resurgence of the BLA or activities in the New York City area. Contact with these sources are familiar with the BLA activities in the past and has failed to develop any new information regarding BLA activity inside the New York City area or approximately for the last 2 years. Based upon the above, this investigation is being closed.
So it's mainly,
this is 1977.
Yeah,
so this indicates by their own investigation that the releasing of guys from prisons, they're not going back to criminal activities of any form, they're not engaging back into any type of guerrilla warfare, what they call guerrilla warfare. So there is actually no reason to not release them, okay?
My name is Messiah Rhodes. I have been mailing letters back and forth with Jalil Muntaqim, aka Anthony Bottom, an ex-Black Panther Party Black Liberation Army member who has been denied parole over 10 times and remains imprisoned for over 46 years. I decided to speak with him face to face for the first time. Here's a brief edited version of our conversation out of our 2-hour time limit allowed within the maximum security Sullivan Correctional Facility in upstate New York on March 7th, 2018.
My name is Jalil Muntaqim, aka Anthony Bottom. I've been in prison going on 47 years, one of the longest held political prisons in the United States, former member of the Black Panther Party and the BLA.
How many prisons have you, do you remember how many prisons have you been to over 40, 50, 40 years? What's the list?
The list?
Yeah.
Want me to name them all?
Yeah, you can't.
Oh man, jeez. California was Vacaville, Tracy, and San Quentin. New York, I've been Sing Sing, Clinton, Auburn, Attica, Comstock, Greenhaven, Shawangunk, did I say Auburn? Elmira, Sullivan. And that's about it. Yeah, and some of them been to a couple of times. So I've been to Auburn 2 times, 3 times, been to Attica 3 times, been to Shawangunk 3 times, been to Greenhaven twice. Yeah.
So what's your access to the news and to the internet here? What kind of access?
We have no access to internet. That is forbidden. All right. News, there's television. We have this is not a TV facility, right? So there's a common room, a common area where there's watching of television. But most of my news comes from NPR, and I listen to public radio, and I get my news from there, and also reading materials, New York Times and various other publications that I receive. Keeps me up to breast to the extent that I possibly can, what's going on out in the world at large. Most recently, the movie The Black Panther seems to be inspiring people to look more closely into culture, their own culture, their history. I was reading the New York Times this morning where they're having young white kids wearing Black Panther masks, you know what I mean? And what does that mean? So there's a crossover in terms of challenging our sensibilities and issues of black heroes and the questions of racism, that's being taught or, permeating a society now, just alt-right stuff. So we see that there is a evolving capacity for folks to look towards the future and resistance.
The last time you was in the shoe,
Last time I was shooting, last time I was in shoe was for teaching Black History class.
and how's it?
I was in Attica.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it was in Attica?
I was in Attica, and they didn't like some of the subject matters that I was teaching.
How did you get through that?
Well, yeah, December 5th, 2017, they came to my cell, took me to SHU I was discussing a course. I've been teaching an Attica Black History class in Attica for about 2 months straight, and I started from 1861, and I was bringing it up to 1960s, and so during 1960, and naturally I had to talk about the Black Panther Party because one of the biggest things that was going on in this country at that time, and so I was making a comparison between the Black Panther Party and street organizations, particularly the Bloods, right? And the administration was not happy of the fact that I was making this kind of comparison. And they took my narrative and turned it into something completely different. And so they put me in the box for it. They put me in the SHU, saying I was trying to organize the gangs or something like that.
Is there light in the box? Is there a dark? What is it?
No, SHU, no, it's not, it's just isolation, right? And so I was out of the box for a month and a half, and then they put me in what they call the state shoe box or shoe facility, right, where everybody is locked in 23 hours a day, all right? And so you're in your cell 23 hours a day. You come out, twice a week to take a shower, and you're fed in your cell. And, the visits is behind a glass. And because of the structure of the area, it's noisy. The guys in their cell, and some of them are not well, right, mentally, and so there's a lot of noise, a lot of chaos. It's unpleasant, to say the least. I think about going home. That's what I think about. Thinking about going home and being with my kids, being with a loving woman, thinking about having opportunities to really put some of these dreams and ideas that I've have over the years, and manifest them, getting back to the community. I want to have my own home, all my siblings have their own house.
Where?
Well, two of my siblings. One of my siblings is in Georgia, and with my mom's in Georgia, and my brothers and sisters in California, right? My daughter and her family's down in Alabama. Yeah, I want to do that. I dream about traveling, of course. I want to visit various parts of the world that I just read about, over the years. It's in magazines and newspapers and books. I want to see if what I read is true. You know what I mean? If these things really exist. So yeah. So those are some of the things, man. That naturally I want to be successful in other areas. Again, I'm like I said, I like to write. So my most recent book, Escaping the Prism, Fade to Black, poems and essays.
You got any poems right now over here, or?
No, I don't have them with me. If I had them, I wouldn't mind, but no, I don't have them with me. And I don't have them on cap. I'm not a rapper. Okay. So it's not there. But yeah, so my latest book, and so I have a novel that I've written that's unpublished, and I have a screenplay or teleplay that have not been produced. So those two things I'm going to try to hustle and make happen when I get out. So.
Why don't people believe there are political prisoners in the United States?
Because generally speaking, because of the criminal justice system. Criminal justice system criminalizes everything, right? So I don't care what you get arrested for, or you're being criminalized. And so therefore, they treat any violation of the law or claimed violation, alleged violation of the law under criminal sanctions, all right, and criminal punishment. So on the basis of that alone, they do not give recognition to the existence of political prisons. It's ridiculous, you know, to consider that the only nation in the whole world, although the United States condemns everyone else for having political prisoners, claim that themselves do not have any. Fighting for my parole. There's a campaign to prevent us from being released from parole. The Police Benevolent Association, or PBA, you know, they have their own penal philosophy. And the penal philosophy is that anyone who's convicted of shooting or killing a police officer should never be released from prison. Mm-hmm. Although that is not according to the law does not say they should never be released from prison, but that's their penal philosophy, right? Which is, to a large extent, understandable because they are a fraternity of their own making. And they, you know, so they have to naturally support their ideal of who they are in social order and society at large. But again, that is not the law, okay? And so they have used their influence, right, and to implement or try to implement the prevention of people being released from prison who are qualified to be released from prison, who should be released from prison, you know, who have done their time and done it well.
What makes you hopeful about the world that you're going to come out into?
Hopeful?
Yeah, yeah.
Generation of the new generation makes me extremely hopeful. These young kids that's coming out now, these new kids who, Trump, you know, let's talk about Trump. Wow. He has created an environment, or a political environment of resistance, right? And so by virtue of his personality, the way that he's trying to run the government, his support of what the alt-right, right, has created a resistance, you know, a backlash. And so by virtue of that alone, we're finding that young people are now stepping up. What I see in many respects is what was happening back in the 60s, you know, evolving out of the civil rights movement. We see that level of resistance trying to evolve nowadays with these young people. And so that is, for me, that's hopeful.